New this morning, China again denying President Trump's claims that he and Xi Jinping have talked on the phone. China now saying that there have been no talks between the two on tariffs. I'm going to play for you what the Treasury Secretary said just yesterday, explaining. Let me play this for you.
In game theory, it's called strategic uncertainty. So you're not going to tell the person on the other side of the negotiation where you're going to end up. And nobody's better at creating this leverage than President Trump. He's shown the high tariffs, and here's the stick. This is where the tariffs can go. And the carrot is come to us, take off your tariffs, take off your non-tariff trade barriers, stop manipulating your currency, stop subsidizing labor and capital, and then we can talk.
So the Treasury Secretary is saying that uncertainty is strategy and part of this game, and caught in the middle of that strategic uncertainty are American businesses. One of those business owners now fighting back, suing the Trump administration and challenging the president's authority to issue some of these tariffs. Rick Woldenberg is who we're talking about here. He's the CEO of the education toy company Learning Resources. He says the trade war with China could be catastrophic, will be catastrophic for his business. Rick Woldenberg joins me right now. Rick, thank you so much. I'm going to get to the lawsuit in just a second, but just set the table for me. How hard are you being hit by this trade war? Give me an example of what tariffs, especially what's been imposed on goods coming from China, means for you.
Well, we've been hammered tremendously, and it all started on April 2nd. We tried to stop shipments to the U.S., and we were unable to stop 19 shipments. Those shipments last year, if we'd brought them in, would have produced about $15,000 in duties and tariffs. I estimate the amount, if we cleared everything that was shipped by mistake, because we got there one day too late, is over $1 million. It's not affordable. It's going to cause tremendous problems under lines of credit. And it's sent our company kind of into a form of chaos.
Businesses like yours, you face something of a choice when it comes to if nothing gives here. You pay the tariff and either eat the cost, or pass it on to customers, or you bring in less inventory. Which is it? What is your calculation? Which is it for you?
Well, we really can't afford to pay the tariff at the end. You know, what used to cost us $10 because you would be able to bring it in at 0% duty now costs us $24.50. In no fantastical world do I have a markup like that in the most competitive consumer market in the world. This is the most competitive market, so it's just not possible. So we've just stopped. We've brought in very few shipments from China, basically things that we have to bring in and don't have a choice, and everything else just ceased. We are scrambling to move as much as possible out of China immediately. We did have an alternative supply chain. It's not like we were napping. Just no one was prepared for this, and we were given no warning.
And there was no warning of it. That's exactly right. So your lawsuit filed Tuesday. Why did you do it? Why did you take that step when so many businesses, very large corporations, very small, even smaller businesses, they are not taking that step? Why did you?
We're a fourth generation family business, and we're a mission driven business. We think what we do is important. And I think the future of our business overnight was threatened by the tariffs. And so I felt like I had no choice. We'll do anything we can to fight to save our business. As I said, we think what we do is important. We also have 500 families, the families of the people that work for us, who are depending on us for their livelihood. And I can't give up on them either. So we had to.
Rick, there are a lot of politicians and also a lot of businesses who are not taking action, who are not even speaking up like you are, because they fear retaliation from the administration. Are you afraid?
As I said, I think the end is near. So, what am I more afraid of? I'm more afraid of doing nothing. Honestly, I think the emperor has no clothes here. Strategic uncertainty is the same way of saying we have no plan. Honest to God, somebody needs to stand up and call nonsense here, or use a stronger word. we just can't go on like this. They're going to asphyxiate us.
Wow. How long before you think, I don't even like to say the words, but before you would have to make some really tough choices with your business, like potentially shut it down?
Well, we've already cut our spending to shreds. I am going to defend the jobs that people have at our company as to the last day. But the reality is our business will never be the same. Since April 2nd, our business will never be the same. So, and I'm paid to keep the company healthy, and that's what I'm doing 24 hours a day. So we are hobbled. We have had irreparable harm, but I'm not going to give up. That's not my job, is not to give up. So I will fight on.
And here we are. Rick Woldenberg of Learning Resources, thank you very much for coming on.
For a deeper look into the impact on the economy, CNN's Brian Todd is joining us at the Magic Wall. So, Brian, where do things stand through 100 days?
Well, I think it's safe to say that the U.S. economy is in a state of upheaval and uncertainty after the first 100 days. And some of the reasons for that are fairly obvious. Let's take a look at the obvious reasons here. Tariffs. The imposition of tariffs on China, Canada, Mexico, and other countries has had an enormous impact on the markets. He started to impose a 145% tariff on China, then imposed a 25% tariff on steel, aluminum, autos, auto parts, and goods not included in the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement that has been in place since 2020. He imposed all of that on Canada and Mexico, 25%, and 10% on other nations. Now, all of this is subject to negotiations, according to the president, in the months ahead. So what will the tariffs look like in a few months? That is going to be a key barometer of how the economy goes in the next few months. Let's take a look at how all of that has reflected on the stock market. And I think pretty much everybody's been paying attention to this because a lot of our 401ks have really gone downhill, and literally trillions of dollars have been wiped off the market, much of that due to the tariffs. Now, the market had held pretty steady right after Donald Trump was inaugurated, then started to kind of go down in natural correction mode. But it was really when the imposition of tariffs was announced in early April that the market really plummeted to a low of just about 37,600 points. Now, again, we have to say that the market has rebounded, gone up in the last few days. But again, Wolf, with the imposition of the tariffs, the negotiations over those tariffs, that is really going to reflect how the market will go. And of course, we know that Donald Trump pays a lot of attention to the markets.
What impact has all this had on everyday goods, for example, for the American public?
Well, we looked at that by tracking the Consumer Price Index, Wolf. The Consumer Price Index basically tracks price changes in typical household items like housing, food, transportation. Let's take a look at eggs. Now, Donald Trump promised to bring the price of eggs down. Just a quick reminder here, egg prices spiked in November and December because of an outbreak of avian flu and the demand over the holidays. So from January to March, egg prices have gone up to about a little over $6 per dozen. Now, what we can tell you is that wholesale egg prices have started to come down, but the consumer's not going to see that for a little while. The wholesale prices have come down because demand has decreased, and they've kind of gotten a handle on the avian flu at least a little bit. So egg prices could be coming down. Again, that's not something a president can have a lot of control over. It was the avian flu and the demand falling as a result of that. Now, let's quickly look at gas prices. Gas prices did spike after Donald Trump was inaugurated to a high of just under $3.40 a gallon in February, and have started to come down, Wolf. So again, that is not something that a president can necessarily control, but we're going to see where the gas prices go.
How are Americans, Brian, feeling about all of this?
Well, you want to look at consumer sentiment here. Consumer sentiment is basically a measure of people's optimism about the general state of the economy. And this is a real reflection here. Look, in January, it was a little under negative. It was already in the negatives at negative 10%. But look at how far it's gone down to a little negative past 30%, almost down to 35%. People not feeling great about the economy. Wolf.
Brian Todd, thank you very, very much.